The next speaker, Reiner Braun, I met for the first time in, I think, December, when floated the idea, could we possibly have a counter-Soviet conference around about now? And he was sufficiently persuasive that I joined the ranks, and this is the result of it. So he has got a lot to answer for. Reiner is active in the German peace movement and one of the main organizers of the international NATO network, and has been involved in the previous events in Strasbourg and Lisbon, so he has a big track record on this sort of thing. Okay.
Yeah, dear colleagues and dear friends, it's a great pleasure and honor to be with you and to continue our protest against NATO. You know, when we start preparing the 6th year anniversary protest 2008, many people were saying, even in the peace movement, NATO, what do we have to do with NATO? NATO is there, NATO will be there, and let's go on with our peace movement. And then we really start establishing the international network, NATO War, NATO NATO. And from my perspective, now we have the 4th summit, the protest action happening, Strasbourg, Lisbon, Chicago, and now Wales. And I think we can say that this network is one of the most successful networks which we developed the last years. We brought back the NATO question and to overcome NATO on the political agenda, on the agenda of the peace movement. We mobilized people against NATO, and we asked the question always, what is the legitimation for NATO after the end of the Cold War? And I think our main work, which we have to continue after the summit, is to continue delegitimize NATO, because NATO and peace is never comparable. And I would like to add some points which are not mentioned here. I will not speak about military spending. Medea was doing it, others were doing it. But remember, we are 25 years later after the fall of the Berlin Wall. And the Warsaw Pact disappears. And NATO, the opponent, the NATO bureaucrats and the political leaders find a new role for NATO. NATO was a worldwide policeman, intervened everywhere in the world. And when we think about what happened since then, the first was the war, the illegal war against Yugoslavia. When you up to now look to the Balkan countries, you can see the people suffering there. We had a huge event in Sarajevo in June, peace event, 100 years after the First World War. And 50% are unemployed. Millions of people left the Balkan countries, go to West Europe, and these are the results of the war. Then we can see, since 13 years, the war against Afghanistan. And remember, the Afghanistan question should be the main question at the summit. This was at the first invitation was mentioned. We will discuss about the ongoing process. They call it peace process in Afghanistan. What's happened in Afghanistan during the last 30 years? 100,000 of people were killed. Millions have to leave the country or to leave their villages. We have war since now. And peace, governance building, nothing. NATO brought war, destroyment, and killing to these countries. And the NATO intervention up to now is a crime. And we have to say it again and again. Because NATO and all the politicians don't want to discuss about Afghanistan. For them, Afghanistan is over, and this is not true. They are staying there with troops. They will continue staying there with troops. They again developed an election with all the things. No one knows who was voting where and who was collecting when, which vote. They established a new US hearing president and will continue the intervention because of geostrategic reasons. This is the job of NATO, so we are really to overcome NATO. And let me say, from the German perspective, some words to the NATO enlargement to the east. Because the problem is not Ukraine. The problem is what NATO has done the last 25 years. against the Declaration of Paris, which said we have a common house of Europe. We are friends in Europe. We are working together. Against the agreement with Gorbachev and Yeltsin and the following up leaders of Russia. NATO step by step went to the east in 3 big waves. And they said this was without any alternative because Poland wanted to become a NATO country. This is not true. Poland wanted to become a secure country. And we have the European security system which we developed in the 70s. The OSCE is one organization of it. There is a peaceful alternative which does not exclude one country in Europe, which excludes all the countries. And the background of the policy of common security is to include all countries for a peaceful development, not to exclude one and to go more and more east, what NATO was doing. And NATO was not only marching to the east. Remember the missile defense system. What is this? They told us this is against North Korea. No one could believe this. Then it was against Iran. No one could believe this. It is and was against Russia. And now, on this summit, the next days, they will decide about quick, responsible troops staying in Poland and the Baltic countries. They will decide about new permanent and time bases in the Baltic countries and in Poland and in East Europe. This is aggressional politics. And what Russia was doing, they were seeing that in the third time in the history in the last 200 years, the West is coming nearer and nearer to their border. And they take time to stop it. I'm not a friend of Putin, definitely not. For me, he's a criminal oligarch leader. But he has his interest. And the interest is to stop the way to the east, to find a common solution for Europe. And when he was speaking in the German parliament, when Medvedev was making suggestions, they tried to do it. But now it comes the time of the red line. And now it's the red line. And you know, then they saw why he is so angry about that Ukraine comes to the West. Please have in mind that this agreement between the European Union and Ukraine, the free trade agreement, has a military part. It offers NATO and Western troops to stay in Ukraine. It was not a civil trade agreement. It was much more. And when you are coming today to Ukraine, you will see in every 5-star hotel NATO officers and NATO soldiers training and establishing their power there. So this is the reality. And in the pipeline is that Ukraine, Moldavia, and Georgia will become NATO members. So we have to react to their lies. And they are lying when they are saying that they try to find a peaceful solution for this area. To find a peaceful solution is possible. For me, there are two points. First point is we need, again, a common security politics for Europe. And second, we need a much more independent, autonomous east part of the Ukrainians. Because what the Ukrainians are doing with the people living in the east part is the behavior that they are people from the second class. And this will not work. So there are possibilities for finding a solution, but NATO is not doing it. Let me say 2 more points for NATO, why we are against NATO. For me, one main point of why we are against NATO is against democracy. And you can see this when you are looking to the city. NATO destroyed democracy in the different countries, where they are coming, where they are assassinating, where they are preparing their end. And a very important internal point, I think, NATO is the militarization of the society. NATO tried to militarize schools. NATO's officers and soldiers are going to schools. They're trying to engage in universities, to have more military research universities. So NATO is really destroying the peaceful development of our societies. This summary means for me, we have to overcome NATO. This is our main point. We have to continue our activities. We need a much bigger peace movement. This is our big challenge. But I think
with these summit in waves, with our protest actions, with all we have done in the past, and with a good wish for the future. We are on a quite good way. I think we can overcome NATO and come to a peaceful world. Thank you.
First, the good news.